Well, in this episode, Aaron gets to be a cunning linguist.
I am actually a classically trained linguist,
Yes.
academically.
Yes.
But I think you're referring to something else when you say a cunning linguist.
Yes. We are going to talk about the pleasures of oral sex, specifically to the female genitals. Aaron has developed a whole new program, and so we'll talk about that at some point in this episode as well. But I'm just excited to hear, why you were so excited and for creating that, what motivated you, but also I'm excited to report on the results.
So what's your question? Where do you want to start?
Well, first of all, let's just start with why cunnilingus and what's important about it.
Well, it was actually a challenge.
Okay.
I was challenged by a client that said, I love all this suction sex stuff. I am a lesbian. Make me a course on how this applies to cunnilingus in a way that even a dude could teach a lesbian something about oral sex.
Jeez, well,
She
so challenge
threw down the
accepted.
gauntlet. There we go. So
I know you like a good challenge. So if you have a challenge for Aaron, definitely send those our way because he loves to rise to the occasion.
I mean, your father actually said it best when it came to him as an engineer. He was actually, when he was talking to me about my job, he's like, I think you're much like an engineer. You're like, you give me a challenge, I'll find you a solution. So that's a similar, something that really does resonate. When he said, I'm like, you are exactly right.
Yes, when it comes to pleasure and the human body and how we can enhance that, you are definitely very gifted in that department.
Pleasure
I think
engineer.
my gift is experiencing pleasure.
Yeah, but you also, though, had to engineer with your own body, and then through trial and error and experience by teaching others, also figuring out, after you did, what was it, like 5 hours a day, 3 hours a day for 5 years or something like that of practice, to then figure out, okay, well, now this is how it works with my body, now let's see how it works with other people's bodies, and then what can I do to optimize that for them. So, I mean, there is definitely a scientific process by which one starts to figure out what works for others, and then from there you start to birth like a whole realm of creativity and a way to tap into other people. And specifically the one on cunnilingus, and the reason why, not only did I think it was a cool challenge, but there is, if you start to speak to a lot of women, a lot of struggles around receiving oral sex. And so much of sex advice, therapists just pretend, oh, well, women aren't designed for penetration, and, if it's not a vibrator that's going to be a solution, then it's oral sex. It's like, well, actually, what's your advice that'll help people enjoy oral sex on both sides of it?
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden they go very quiet again.
Well, we did do an episode on oral sex a long time ago, so people can also listen to that one. But this one I think is kind of the 2.0, kind of coming back, revisiting the conversation, going a little deeper. I know very recently I had, I don't know how long, was it hour and a half?
Hour and a half.
Of oral loving from this beautiful man. And
which normally would be something that, for I think a lot of people, would be like a nightmare because it would be overstimulating.
And I went into such incredible states where there was one moment I said I could feel almost, I mean, it sounds silly, but like my mind was dissolving and becoming almost like a soft mist. And so that's different than, yes, blowing my mind where it's like, blown to smithereens and it doesn't exist anymore, fine. But this one was very like, there was a soft, slow dissolving.
I think to me you said as if your mind melted.
Yeah. And I was fascinated with that because it's not a common sensorial experience that I've had.
Well, and normally I would say one of the biggest blockers that women have around enjoying oral sex, receiving it, is that they have a tendency to go into their head. Meaning they get lost in thoughts.
That, I think also, for some women, they've not had a pleasant experience because it's, if a person has watched porn and goes from porn to giving oral, they're most likely going to do a terrible job, because the things that they have to do for the camera are not the things that feel incredible in the body, because they're entertainment for camera value. It's actors entertaining the viewers versus what feels really good. If you were to film what feels really good, you probably wouldn't see much, because there's not a lot of separation from the body, and the yanking of the inner lips for 3 miles. I mean, it's just not not the thing, or the putting out of the candle with the extra fast.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. So if I were to give you the 3 main reasons why oral sex goes off, or why the advice that you will get around oral sex isn't great, and what a lot of people are learning from porn is this. 1, it's fancy tongue techniques. 2, there's only one point of contact between the bodies, which is the person's mouth and the other person's genitals. And 3, that all of the advice is for the giver. There's nothing really there for the receiver to do. And if I were to boil those 3 points down into one thing, it would be that there's just simply a lack of connection.
Sometimes I think as the receiver of oral, you almost feel like you're at a gynecological exam. So you're just sort of like awkward. You're looking at the ceiling. You're not sure when it's going to be over. You're not sure what you're supposed to be feeling, and the person's not really giving you much feedback. And so you're just sort of waiting, and it's awkward. So I love the way that you bring in an active receiver component and really allow, what makes receiving oral so hot is when your own pleasure takes over and your own body like just starts to move and express, and you're grabbing the person's head, or you're pushing them away a little bit, or your feet are grabbing them, or your hips really start just going. I mean, I know for me, I feel very like, ooh, this is naughty, if I'm having to be the one like on top, or if I'm receiving oral from behind. Those 2 things, like I'm
Where
like,
you're the one that's actually making love to their face.
That's so naughty. I don't know if I can do this.
And I'm going to.
I'm going to. Yes. But this particular, like, since you created this course, and I know that you love to just practice what you preach, I've been having a whole different experience, which I've had partners give me oral for a long time before. And so you say, well, what's like the difference between...
I mean, you had a partner that you dubbed the tongue god.
Yeah.
Loved the sauce.
He loved the sauce. He loved that. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I was like, hours. Hours. I'm like, can you breathe? Are you okay? I'm great. Okay, I'm fine.
He comes up from air. He's like, I love the sauce. The one thing he said went back down. I love that story.
Yeah. I think for a lot of women, it's uncomfortable to receive past a certain amount of time because we feel guilty. Like, is the person really enjoying themselves? Am I starting to smell bad? Do I taste weird? Then, like, if they do end up with a gush of fluid because of an orgasmic response, like, is that pee? Is it going to be awful? Or they get cringing? Or maybe they're bored? Like, there's a lot going on in the head, and not so much like allowing, a shameless allowing of receiving sensation. And in order to receive, because the sensation can be very intense, and in order to receive that level of pleasure, you have to know how to like breathe and expand into the arousal that's growing and blooming. And I think for me, what made it the switch at some point in my life was realizing the person actually is really loving what they're doing.
Well, I love that you mentioned this, because there is 2 main reasons that I address why I see typically a woman has a lack of connection during an oral sex experience. And those 2 main reasons are, 1, that they are in their head for a series of reasons, or poor technique. And when it comes to being in their head, the typical reasons are, 1, getting distracted, feeling bored. Secondly, it's that there is a kind of questioning, who is this really for? Thirdly is feeling that the person is just trying to get them to have an orgasm.
Correct, yeah. When there's an agenda, it's really
Yep.
hard to relax. And when it goes past a certain amount of time, then you're like, okay, well, I guess we're moving into, they're probably bored now. Or, I mean, you often hear that the person's like, oh, my neck hurts or my jaw hurts or I'm getting exhausted. This is taking too long. So I think that could be a really great thing for you to address, because an hour and a half is a long time.
Well, that's the fourth reason is
Yeah.
the woman starts to get concerned about the other person's sensorial experience. You know, are they maybe having a kink in their neck? How do I smell? How do I taste? How does it feel to them? Am I too wet? Am I too dry? All these questions come up. And then the big one, which I think is one that's rarely ever gets mentioned, is the fifth one, which is that there is a lack of emotional connection.
In the Taoist understanding of your senses and how they relate to an internal organ, for example, eyes are connected to the liver, and what you hear are connected to your kidneys, which is really interesting to me because a lot of us have high stress and we live in environments that don't have nice sounds, lots of sirens and other sounds. And so there's a bit of a contraction.
I mean, you'll hear city livers saying when they go to the country they can't fall asleep because it's too quiet.
Too quiet, yeah. So there's something going on there, but also sexually, like the kind of sounds that you hear can either turn you on or turn you off. But for oral sex, what I always found fascinating is the tongue is associated with the heart. And so I know some people consider oral sex more intimate than penetrative sex. And so they won't.
A lot of people.
They won't do oral when they're having a one night stand or whatever, something casual. And they'll reserve oral for more when they're feeling emotion or emotionally connected, which, if you look at, again, that the tongue is the external expression of the heart, you're literally bringing your heart to wherever part you're engaging with your tongue.
Well, I think that's really interesting. I also think that the reasons why people, I mentioned that going in the head was one of the reasons that women go into their head or why there's a lack of connection due to going into their head. The other part is poor technique.
Yes.
And one of the poor techniques is that there's either too much or too little clitoral stimulation, which is what you were speaking about. It gets like so charged, it gets way too intense. So then imagine having to go through that, for like an hour.
Well, you numb out at some point.
You numb out, or you have the orgasm and then you go into a
flatline.
refractory period and you're like, oh, okay, no more stimulation. The other person's like, no, now I'm going to double down. You're like, I can't take this.
Yeah, exactly.
The other part too is that it's either too rough or not enough pressure or firm enough at all, and so then it starts to tickle.
Well, what I find fascinating, because I'm definitely a combo girl, I like mouth and fingers.
Yes.
But the course that you recently did is just purely mouth. And it was an interesting experience for me to experience all the different varieties of mouth-tongue positioning that you were doing, because you were also moving your own body around and changing the angles, and it was very noticeable. When a person is eating the pussy straight on, it's a very different sensation than when they turn perpendicular and kind of like their lips matching the lips of, so it's just a different experience. But when it becomes different, then you notice it differently. And so when you're doing this change, I think you can last longer in the experience because your nervous system doesn't flatline with a certain type of stimulation for a certain type of time.
Well, it's not really, like you're saying, it's not such an either or situation of poor technique or the fact that you've gone into your head. It's typically a combination. They sort of feed each other. And the third technical error I would say that most people make when giving oral sex is that there is not actually enough body contact. It's just mouth to vagina. And so actually figuring out ways to stimulate the entire person's body while you're using your mouth is then going to create the kind of connection both on the emotional level, also then helping a person not to go into their head, but then also too just being able to be more comfortable as a giver so that you can enjoy that experience. And the way that I built the course is actually there's a series of games that is essentially more so than techniques, and there are some techniques in there, but and plenty of them, but it's how do you actually create an amazing communication feedback loop, not just verbally, but between the bodies.
That's the cunning linguist aspect.
There we go. Because what you mentioned before is that there is a lack of feedback between what's happening between people, and what you were experiencing and enjoying with me was the way that your body is communicating to mine, the way that I'm responding.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden this gets really exciting. And if you can turn that into a game where you start to read and communicate with each other's bodies. I mean, first of all, if you're a giver, it's a little bit hard to speak when your mouth's full.
Yes.
And
But there are moments where there are pauses, or for me, what this particular time around, it really sunk in that you were having your enjoyment. For some reason, that's important to me. It's not just strictly about my enjoyment. I can get lost in my own sensations, but there is a moment where I'm like, I need to know that it's hot for me, that there's a extra arousal factor if there's enjoyment.
I have to say, interestingly enough, a lot of guys will use oral sex either to just get the woman off so that they can do their thing, which is a little bit more the selfish lover side, or you'll see guys a lot of times where they're doing it because they feel that it proves how much they can please the other woman and their partner, whoever it is. And the interesting thing that I've heard so many times, especially early on in a relationship, is I can't tell you how many times women will say to me, they'll go, "Oh, I don't want you just to please me." They actually want to feel the animal in me, the one that is coming out and doing something because I like to. And that's then when I quickly correct them. I'm like, "Oh no, you might think this is for you, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it, but I love to go down and it's for me." And then the mental shift that happens, there's like kind of this, huh?
Yes.
Oh, what's that like? And then they can actually enjoy being devoured. I had one partner, she was with a guy that was a dom, and I was like, "Well, what did you like about that experience?" And she's like, I didn't have the pressure of having to please him. It was actually just that he was taking what he liked. Now, when you start to understand more how domination and everything works, and how it's also done in a way that really brings this out of submissive, but still though, he was there because he liked to do things to her, and all she had to do was be there. And there was an aspect of her that was like, I kind of like being able to be a lazy pillow princess lover. And he was fine with that. And so then that allowed for this deep relaxation. And again, when the receiver on the side of oral sex can actually let go and be like, whoa, this person is enjoying my smells, my sounds, the feel of me in their mouth, the taste of me, everything, then there's this relaxation that happens in their body of, I'm enough. And this extremely intimate part of me, they have actually been more intimate than maybe even they've been with themselves. And there's this deep level of acceptance and trust and intimacy that's formed, which is why I think a lot of women would not have that with a one-night stand, because like, that's too much intimacy there. I don't know you that much. Like, put the condom on, have sex with me, do your thing. There's more of a removal there.
It depends, because I really like receiving oral, so whenever a man would like brag about how good he was and this and that, I was like, all right.
Let's put you to the test.
Meet me at this time.
Well, and I've definitely met plenty of women who also love to see if a guy will give oral, because then they also know, well, is he attentive enough to me? Does he actually care about my pleasure? And so I think it also depends on, what experiences had you had in the past?
Yes.
Was it good? Have you felt that you've always been neglected, before? Have you been made to feel shameful? Like, all these things factor in, and then that almost becomes the test of whether or not you want it. But in either of those extremes, Cunning Linguist then really becomes some massive tool, though, to really create a ton of intimacy and actually prep the body for penetration.
Absolutely.
Or just for it being an act in and of itself. And aftercare, too.
I think I was blessed with most of my long-term relationships. Those partners really loved oral, and they probably still do, but they're not with me anymore. And so then I got used to that men really love oral. So when I would come across a lover who was, I don't do that. The positions end at 68 for me. Like, there's no.
The position what?
It's a line in a Caribbean song. Like, sex positions end at 68, meaning they don't go down on women ever. Women can go down on them, but they don't go down on women. Like, it's a whole thing. And so a few of my black lovers were like, oh no, I don't. That's against my religion. I don't do that. I'm like, wow, you're missing out. But I think part of my maybe confidence or my capacity to receive had also to do with my relationship with my own body and the ability to like my own smell and like my own taste. And actually, I could gauge my well-being, my health, depending on the change of smell and taste. I could tell before something was off that something was off.
And off meaning, like, if you're going to get a
Like
urinary
a
tract
flu.
infection?
No, like a flu or something weird going on, like in the whole system of the body. There was communication there. And
maybe that's why animals sniff each other's parts so much.
I don't know. But I remember once, starting to anoint the same areas that you would anoint perfume. I was anointing with my own scent before a date or whatever.
Meaning that you take your juices and kind of do a little, hey.
Yeah, and here, certain places, or sometimes if I'm with a partner, I'll leave a little smear line across their entire pillow. They don't know, but I'll be like, see if this puts them in the mood. It always does. But so it's one of those things where getting used to your own body and enjoying your own body can allow you then to understand why someone else would enjoy your body. So I want to get more explicit, because I think a lot of what we have to share is very juicy.
Okay.
So we'd love to pop over to that part of our podcast. But before doing that, just encouraging, if you have a free account or you're watching this on Spotify or YouTube, come over to Embodied Love University and jump into the paid membership, because that's where we really give a lot more of the house. And we're much more, we can't give the house publicly, so it gets shut down. So come in, get those. On the membership side, we have erotic audios almost all the time accompanying whatever the lesson is. So there's that kind of transmission, direct experience happening.
And also the stories.
And then we have all now with the Embodied Love University, we have all the incredible amount of lessons and things that people can unlock and learn and keep growing in our live events. I mean, it's pretty awesome. So pop over there, and
the stories also get a little bit more explicit too, if
they
you're
get
curious.
a lot more explicit, yes.
Well, let's jump on over.
To join us for the complete and explicit version of the podcast, simply upgrade your membership and gain instant access.